My brother Bradley always said a real businessman would never marry a woman with dirt under her nails. His wife Victoria, the self-declared finance genius, used to laugh like my farm was a joke she'd already won. Then their investments collapsed, and suddenly I wasn't just family. I was their lifeboat. They thought I would sell my land to save them. They didn't know the land wasn't mine. Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe, hit the hype button, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? The whole mess started at a family dinner 3 months before everything went sideways. Mom had insisted on Sunday supper at the old house, the one where Bradley and I grew up. The kitchen still smelled like the same lemon cleaner she'd been using since 1982. Everything was exactly as it had been for decades. The floral wallpaper, the china cabinet with the plates nobody was allowed to touch, the framed photos of Bradley's college graduation taking up half the mantel. My college graduation photo was in the hallway, near the bathroom. Lily and I arrived right on time, which meant we were the first ones there. Bradley's silver Lexus pulled up 20 minutes later, gleaming like a trophy. Victoria stepped out wearing heels that probably cost more than my truck payment. Her smile was the kind that never quite reached her eyes. "Grant," she said, air-kissing near my cheek. "Still driving that ancient pickup?" "Still gets me where I need to go," I said. "How?" "Rustic." Bradley clapped me on the shoulder hard enough to sting. He'd put on weight since I'd seen him last, the kind that comes from expensive restaurants and too much whiskey. His cologne was overwhelming. "Little brother," he said, "good to see you're still playing farmer." "It's not playing when you actually grow things," Lily said quietly. She was wearing jeans and a clean flannel shirt, no jewelry except her wedding ring. She looked more comfortable in her skin than Victoria ever would. Bradley's laugh was too loud. Right. The agronomist. I keep forgetting you have a degree in... What was it? Dirt science? Soil science, Lily corrected, and land management, and sustainable agriculture. Sure. Bradley was already walking toward the house. "Hey, Ma, we're here." Dinner was pot roast. Mom had made Bradley's favorite sides, creamed corn, those rolls he liked, apple pie for dessert. Everything I'd requested got forgotten or pushed to the back of the stove. Standard procedure. "So, Bradley," Dad said, cutting into his meat, "how's business?" My brother's face lit up. This was his favorite subject, himself. "Couldn't be better. We just closed a deal that's going to triple our investment over the next 18 months. Victoria's fund is absolutely crushing the market." Victoria smiled that corporate smile. "We've been very fortunate. Of course, it takes real financial acumen to spot opportunities in emerging markets. Cryptocurrency derivatives, decentralized finance platforms, NFT-backed securities. The future is already here. Most people just don't understand it yet." "Sounds complicated," Mom said, impressed. "It is," Victoria agreed. "That's why most people stick to simpler investments. Savings accounts, government bonds, land." The way she said land made it sound like a disease. "Nothing wrong with land," I said. "It's real. You can stand on it." Bradley snorted. "Yeah, and watch it lose value while inflation eats you alive. Come on, Grant. You're what, 59? Still breaking your back for what, 40 grand a year?" "The farm does fine." "Fine." Bradley repeated the word like it tasted bad. "Jesus, you could have had a career. You had that logistics job in Kansas City. You were moving up. Then you threw it all away to come back here and play in the dirt." "I didn't throw anything away." "You married down," Victoria said. Her voice was pleasant, conversational. "Let's be honest. Lily's a sweet girl, but she's not exactly... Well, she's a farm woman. Bradley and I have always wondered what would have happened if you'd stayed in the city, if you'd married someone with real ambition." The table went quiet. Lily's face didn't change. She just kept cutting her pot roast into smaller and smaller pieces. My hand tightened on my fork. "Lily owns 300 acres. She has a master's degree. She consults for the Agricultural Extension Service. What exactly do you consider ambitious?" "Oh, Grant." Mom's voice was soft, disappointed. Victoria didn't mean anything by it. She's just saying, "Well, you know, Lily's perfectly nice, but she's not really our kind of people." "Your kind of people," I repeated. "Successful people," Dad said. "People who make something of themselves. Bradley's done very well. You could have too, if you'd made better choices." I looked at Lily. She was staring at her plate, her jaw tight. "We should go?" I said. "Don't be dramatic," Bradley said. "Look, nobody's trying to insult anybody. We're just talking reality here. You're almost 60, living in a farmhouse that should have been condemned 10 years ago, working land that barely turns a profit. Meanwhile, Victoria and I are building real wealth, generational wealth, the kind of legacy Mom and Dad can be proud of. I'm very proud, Mom said quickly, reaching over to squeeze Bradley's hand. We all are, Dad added. Nobody looked at me. Thanks for dinner, I said, standing up. Lily, let's go. She rose without a word. We made it to the truck before Bradley came out after us. Hey, he called. Come on, don't be like that. You're too sensitive, you know that? Always have been. I opened the truck door for Lily. She climbed in, still silent. Grant. Bradley's voice shifted, became serious. Look, I'm sorry if Victoria came on too strong. You know how she is. But real talk, you ever think about selling? That land of yours is just sitting there. You could get a good price, invest it properly, actually make something of yourself before you're too old to enjoy it. The land's not for sale. Everything's for sale at the right price. Think about it. We could help you. Victoria knows people, real investors, not some local yokel bank manager. We could set you up properly. Not interested. You're making a mistake, he said. That farm is dragging you down. It's dragging the whole family down. I started the engine. One day you're going to need our help, Bradley said. And when you do, remember this conversation. Remember that we tried to help you first. I drove away without answering. Lily didn't speak until we were 5 miles down the highway. Then she said very quietly, They think I'm trash. They're wrong. Your mother thinks you married beneath you. Your father thinks I'm pulling you down. And Bradley, she stopped. Bradley thinks I'm nothing. You're everything, I said. They're just too stupid to see it. She looked out the window at the dark fields rolling past. I own that land, Grant. Not you. Me. My name on the deed. My inheritance from my grandfather. They don't even know that, do they? No. Good, she said. Let's keep it that way. For now. I should have known then that something was building in her. Something cold and precise and unstoppable. Lily had always been the calm one, the steady one, the one who thought 3 moves ahead while everyone else was still processing the first. But that night, driving home in silence, I felt something shift in her, a decision being made, a line being drawn. We didn't talk about the dinner for the rest of the week. We just went back to our routine, early mornings checking crops, afternoons maintaining equipment, evenings going over accounts and planning for the next season. The work was constant, but it was honest. The land didn't lie. It didn't play favorites. It gave back exactly what you put into it, no more and no less. That was something Bradley had never understood. He thought farming was simple, that you just threw seeds in the ground and waited for money to grow. He didn't see the hundreds of tiny decisions that went into every acre, the careful balance of soil chemistry and weather patterns and market timing. He didn't understand that Lily's degree meant she could read the land the way he read stock charts, that her knowledge was worth more than any of his fancy investment strategies. But he was about to learn. The call came at 6 a.m, 3 weeks after the dinner. I was already up, drinking coffee in the kitchen while Lily checked crop reports on her laptop. The number on the screen was Bradley's. I let it ring. He called back immediately. On the 3rd call, Lily looked up from her computer. You should answer. I picked up. What? Grant. Bradley's voice was wrong, shaky, higher pitched than normal. Grant, I need to talk to you. Are you home? Can I come over? It's 6 a.m. I know. Look, it's important. Please, I'm already driving. He hung up before I could refuse. 20 minutes later, his Lexus came up the gravel drive too fast, spitting rocks. Bradley climbed out looking like he hadn't slept. His shirt was wrinkled. He hadn't shaved. This wasn't the polished corporate brother I knew. Coffee? I asked. Yeah, thanks. He followed me inside, barely glancing at Lily. She closed her laptop and watched him with those calm, dark eyes that saw everything. I poured him a cup. He drank it too fast and burned his mouth. So, I said, what's the emergency? Bradley set down the mug. His hands were shaking. We've got a problem. Big problem. The fund Victoria manages, it went under. Completely under. There was a situation. Bad investments, margin calls, some regulatory issues. The whole thing collapsed. When? Last week. It's been chaos. Absolute chaos. Investors are threatening lawsuits. There's going to be an investigation. Victoria's firm cut her loose to protect themselves. He ran his hand through his hair. We're exposed, Grant. Financially exposed. We've got creditors calling every hour. The house is leveraged, the cars, everything. I sipped my coffee and waited. We need to liquidate some assets fast, Bradley continued. Raise capital, pay off the immediate debts, buy time to figure out the rest. And I was thinking, he looked around the kitchen at the old appliances and worn linoleum. This land, your farm, it's got to be worth what, $2 million? Maybe more? It's not for sale. Grant, come on. You're not even making real money off it. You could sell, split the profit, invest it somewhere smart. We'd help you. We know people who could. It's not for sale, I repeated. You're not listening. Bradley's voice rose. I'm in trouble here. Real trouble. Victoria and I could lose everything. The house, the cars, our reputation. Do you understand what I'm saying? I need this. The family needs this. The family, I said slowly, told me I married down. The family told me I was dragging everyone down. The family made it real clear that I'm the failure, the disappointment, the one who wasted his potential playing in the dirt. Now the family needs me? Bradley's face flushed. That was just talk. You know how people are at dinner, they just run their mouths. Nobody meant anything by it. Lily, I said, not looking away from my brother, did it sound like just talk to you? No, she said. It sounded like contempt. Bradley finally looked at her. Look, I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt, but this is bigger than hurt feelings. This is about survival. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, help me out here. Sell me the land. I can't sell you something I don't own, I said. He blinked. What? The land's not mine, I continued. It's Lily's. Her name on the deed, her inheritance. I'm just the guy who works it. Bradley turned to stare at Lily. She gazed back at him calmly, her coffee cup balanced on her knee. You, he said. You own it? Every acre, Lily confirmed. My grandfather left it to me 15 years ago. Grant and I maintain it together, but legally it's mine. Bradley's mouth worked silently for a moment. Then he tried to smile. Okay, that's fine. Lily, listen. I know we got off on the wrong foot at dinner. I was stressed about work, and I said some things that came out wrong, but we're family, and family helps each other. So what do you say? Can we work something out? No, Lily said. Just that. No explanation, no elaboration, just no. Bradley's face went red. Are you serious? You're going to let us go under because your feelings got hurt? My feelings are fine, Lily said. I'm just not selling my land. This is insane. Bradley stood up so fast his chair scraped across the floor. Grant, talk to her. Talk some sense into her. She said no. You're really going to do this? You're going to let your own brother crash and burn? You came into my house, I said, my voice level, and asked me to bail you out of a mess you made. A mess that came from thinking you were smarter than everyone else, that the rules didn't apply to you. You wanted to make real money, generational wealth. Well, this is what happens when you gamble and lose. I didn't gamble. There were market conditions. You gambled, I cut him off. You bet everything on getting rich fast, and you lost. That's not my problem. Bradley stood there breathing hard. Then he said, quietly, You're going to regret this. Is that a threat? It's a fact. When Mom and Dad hear about this, when they find out you had a chance to help and refused, they're going to know exactly what kind of man you really are. I already know what kind of man I am, I said. And I know what kind you are, too. Bradley slammed the door on his way out. His Lexus spun gravel as he peeled out of the driveway. Lily took a sip of her coffee. That went well. He'll be back, I said, with reinforcements. Your parents. And Victoria. They'll come as a united front. Try to guilt me into changing your mind. Will it work? I looked at her. What do you think? She smiled. It was a small smile, but it had teeth in it. I think they have no idea who they're dealing with. No, I agreed, they really don't. The rest of that day passed in tense quiet. We went through the motions of farm work, but both of us were waiting for the other shoe to drop. It came sooner than expected. The United Front arrived that afternoon. Both my parents, Bradley, and Victoria all crammed into Dad's Buick. They pulled up while I was checking irrigation lines in the north field. Lily met them at the door. I watched from a distance as they all trooped inside. Lily didn't look concerned. She looked like a woman waiting for a show to start. I gave them 10 minutes, then headed back to the house. The kitchen was crowded. Mom sat at the table with her purse in her lap, the way she always did when she was nervous. Dad stood by the window with his arms crossed. Bradley paced. Victoria leaned against the counter, her corporate armor back in place. Tailored suit, perfect hair, cold smile. Lily sat in her usual chair, relaxed, sipping fresh coffee. Grant, Mom said as I walked in. We need to talk. Apparently. This situation with Bradley, Dad began. It's serious, more serious than you realize. There are legal implications, financial obligations. This isn't just about money, it's about the family's reputation. Your reputation, I corrected. Not mine. I'm just the one who married down, remember? Mom winced. That was a misunderstanding. You're taking things out of context. Am I? Yes, Victoria said sharply. You're being deliberately obtuse. This is a crisis situation. When there's a crisis, family comes together. They pool resources. They help each other survive. That's what functional families do. Functional families, Lily said softly, don't mock each other at dinner parties. Victoria's smile got tighter. I apologized for that. No, Lily said. You didn't. You said Grant was too sensitive. That's not an apology. That's an insult with better vocabulary. The room went quiet. Look, Bradley said, trying a different approach. We're all adults here. Let's be practical. Lily, you're sitting on an asset worth millions. You're not using it efficiently. You're not maximizing its potential. Meanwhile, Victoria and I have the expertise, the connections, and the business acumen to actually make that money work. Sell us the land. We'll give you fair market value, plus a percentage of future profits. Everyone wins. Everyone but me, Lily said, since I'd no longer own land that's been in my family for 4 generations. You'd have liquid capital instead, Victoria countered. Money you could invest, grow, diversify. Land is an idle asset. It just sits there. It grows corn, Lily said, and soybeans, and wheat. It feeds people. That's not idle. That's the opposite of idle. It's inefficient. It's mine, Lily interrupted. Mine to be inefficient with. Mine to waste, if that's what I choose. Mine to keep, not yours, not Bradley's, not the family's. Mine. Dad's voice went hard. You're being selfish. I'm being selfish? Lily's eyebrows rose. I'm the one who got told I wasn't your kind of people. I'm the one who watched you fawn over Bradley while treating Grant like he was invisible. I'm the one who listened to Victoria explain how I married above my station. And now I'm selfish because I won't hand over my land to save you from your own mistakes? It's not like that, Mom protested weakly. It's exactly like that, Lily said. You want something from me. You've made it clear you don't respect me, don't like me, and don't think I'm good enough for your family. But now you need me, so suddenly it's all about family unity and pulling together. She set down her coffee cup. No! Bradley's control snapped. This is ridiculous. Grant, you can't seriously be okay with this. These people are destroying their own son. These people? I said quietly. You mean my wife? You know what I mean. Yeah, I said, I do. You mean the woman who owns land you want. The woman who's saying no. The woman you can't control, can't manipulate, and can't force to do what you want. That's eating you alive, isn't it? This is not about control. It's entirely about control, I said. You've spent your whole life being the golden child. The successful one. The one Mom and Dad brag about. You got the approval, the support, the benefit of every doubt. And now you've made a mess, and the person you need to bail you out is the one you spent years looking down on. That's what's really tearing you up. Not the money, the humiliation. Bradley's face went white, then red. You ungrateful. I'm ungrateful? My voice stayed level. For what? For being ignored at every family gathering? For having my choices questioned and my wife insulted? For being treated like a charity case until you needed something? What exactly should I be grateful for, Bradley? We're family. Then act like it, I said. Act like family, not like investors looking for a return. Victoria pushed off the counter. This is getting nowhere. Lily, let's be clear. If you refuse to help, and Bradley and I end up in real legal trouble, that's going to come back on you, financially, socially. There will be consequences. Is that a threat? Lily asked. It's a reality check. The town will know. The community will know. Everyone will know that when Bradley needed help, you refused. How do you think that will affect your reputation, your business relationships, your standing in this community? I think, Lily said carefully, that the community knows me. I've lived here my whole life. I went to school here. My family's been here for 100 years. I consult for local farmers. I volunteer at the Extension Service. What do they know about you? That you show up twice a year in expensive cars and talk about how backward everything is. Victoria's expression went cold. You're making a mistake. So you keep saying. We're done here, Dad announced. Grant, your mother and I are very disappointed. We raised you better than this. You raised him to put family first, Bradley added. Guess that didn't take. They filed out. Mom hesitated at the door, looked back at me with something that might have been regret, then followed the others. Their cars disappeared down the drive in a convoy of dust and anger. Lily exhaled slowly. That was fun. It's not over, I said. I know. They'll try something else. Bradley doesn't know how to lose. Good, Lily said. Neither do I. She was right. It wasn't over. 2 days later, I heard the rumors. They started at the grain elevator, spread to the feed store, filtered through the coffee shop and the hardware store and every other place farmers gathered to talk. The story varied in details, but the core was always the same. Grant Crowley was letting his brother bankrupt. Grant Crowley had millions in land and wouldn't help his own family. Grant Crowley's wife was the real problem, controlling, vindictive, keeping Grant from doing the right thing. By the end of the week, I couldn't go to town without getting looks. Some sympathetic, some judgmental, all uncomfortable. Heard about your brother, Tom Wilson said at the co-op. He ran a corn operation 2 counties over. Tough situation. Yeah, I said neutrally. Family stuff is always complicated. He studied a bag of seed corn like it was the most interesting thing in the world. But you got to do what you got to do. I suppose? Still, he said carefully, family's family. You only get one. I loaded my supplies and left without answering. At the diner, Betty Carlson brought me coffee without being asked. How you holding up, honey? Fine. Must be hard, all this talk going around. People saying things. People always say things. Well, she patted my shoulder. I'm sure you're doing what's right. You always have. But her eyes said she wasn't sure at all. The whisper campaign was working. Bradley had always been good at managing perceptions, spinning narratives. He was painting himself as the victim, me as the villain, and Lily as the manipulator who'd turned me against my own family. Half the town was buying it. The other half was waiting to see what I'd do. That evening, sitting on the porch with Lily, I told her about the reactions I'd been getting. They'll believe what they want to believe, she said. Some people need to see others as victims or villains. It makes the world simpler for them. It bothers you? Not really. I know the truth. You know the truth. That's what matters. What if they turn the whole town against us? She was quiet for a moment, watching the sun sink toward the horizon. Then we'll know who our real friends are, and we'll keep working. The land doesn't care about gossip, Grant. It doesn't care about reputations or family drama. It just keeps producing. As long as we do our job, we'll be fine. You sound so sure. I am sure, she said, because I know something Bradley doesn't. What's that? I know that land outlasts everything. Houses burn down, money gets spent, reputations fade. But land endures. My grandfather knew that. My father knew that. And I know that. She took my hand. We're going to be fine, Grant. More than fine. Because we're standing on solid ground, and they're standing on nothing. I wanted to believe her. But as the rumors continued to spread over the next few days, I felt the pressure building. It wasn't just uncomfortable looks anymore. It was pointed questions, deliberate snubs. The sense that the community was choosing sides, and not all of them were choosing ours. Then came the first real confrontation. The confrontation came on a Tuesday morning at the grain elevator. I'd brought in a load of corn, early harvest, good yield, right on schedule. The elevator was busy, trucks lined up waiting to unload. I pulled into line behind 3 other farmers and settled in to wait. That's when Bradley's truck appeared. Not his Lexus. He'd apparently traded that in for something cheaper. This was a Ford pickup, 5 years old, trying to look working class. He parked it sideways across the access road, blocking the entrance. What the hell? Muttered Jake Peterson, the farmer ahead of me. Bradley climbed out. He wasn't alone. 3 men I didn't recognize got out with him, city types trying to look rural in new jeans and work boots that had never seen actual work. Grant Crowley, Bradley called out. He was performing for the crowd now, loud enough for everyone to hear. We need to talk. I stayed in my truck. You've been avoiding my calls, Bradley continued, hiding behind your wife, but this ends now. I'm calling in everything you owe me. I don't owe you anything, I called back. $23,000, Bradley said. Money I lent you 4 years ago when your combine needed repairs. Remember, or did you conveniently forget? I did remember, and I'd paid it back. Every cent, with interest, 2 years ago. I had the canceled checks in my file cabinet at home. I paid you back, I said. You gave me some money, Bradley agreed. Not all of it. Not what you owed. I've got lawyers involved now, Grant. They're filing papers. Unless you want to lien on your property, you'd better... The property isn't his, Lily's voice cut through. She'd driven up behind me in her truck, quiet as a ghost. Now she stood in her truck bed where everyone could see her. It's mine. You want to file something, you file it against me, and I've got very good lawyers, better than yours." Bradley's three friends shifted nervously. "This is between me and my brother," Bradley said. "No," Lily said. "It's between you and reality. You want to claim Grant owes you money? Fine. Prove it in court, provide documentation, show canceled checks, loan agreements, anything that demonstrates a legitimate debt. Can you do that?" Bradley's face went red. "Because I can prove he paid you back," Lily continued. "Every penny. I have copies of every check, every bank statement, every transaction, all dated and notarized. Want to see them?" The crowd was watching now. Farmers love a good confrontation, and this was better than most. "You can't do this," Bradley said. "You can't just—" "I can do whatever I want with my land," Lily said. "And right now, what I want is for you to move your truck so these people can work." "I'm not moving." "Then I'll call the sheriff. You're blocking a commercial access road. That's illegal. Sheriff Morrison's been a friend of my family for 30 years. How long do you think it'll take him to get here?" Bradley stood there, breathing hard. His three friends looked at each other uncertainly. "You think you've won something," Bradley said finally. "You think you're safe, but you're not. This town needs to know what kind of people you really are. Selfish, greedy, letting families suffer while you sit on millions." "The town knows us," Lily said. "We were born here. We'll probably expire here. What do they know about you? That you show up when you need something and disappear when you don't." One of the farmers, old Charlie Duncan, actually laughed. Someone else muttered agreement. Bradley's face went darker. "Move that corn somewhere else, Grant. Because starting tomorrow, this elevator won't take your grain. I've talked to the manager. You're out." He climbed back in his truck. His friends scrambled to join him. They peeled out, leaving tire marks on the pavement. Jake Peterson whistled low. "That was something." "Sorry about the delay," I said. "Hell, that was entertainment." Jake grinned. "Your brother always was full of himself. About time someone told him where to get off." But as I moved forward in line, I wondered if Bradley had actually arranged something with the elevator manager. I'd find out soon enough. The answer came when I reached the scale. Mark Reeves, the manager, looked uncomfortable. "Grant," he said, "we've got a problem. Bradley got to you. He called, said some things, made some claims about outstanding debts and potential liens. Corporate told me to hold off taking any of your grain until it's sorted out." "That's garbage," I said. "There are no liens, no debts. He's lying." "Probably," Mark agreed, "but I've got bosses. They say, wait. I wait. I'm sorry." I sat there for a moment, doing the math. If I couldn't deliver here, I'd have to haul everything 40 miles to the next nearest elevator. That was time and fuel I couldn't spare, not during harvest season. "How long?" I asked. "Couple days, maybe. Until you can provide paperwork showing there's nothing filed against the property." "I can get that in an hour." "Then do it," Mark said. "Bring it back. We'll get you unloaded. But right now, I've got to ask you to pull out of line." I looked in my rearview mirror. 5 trucks were backed up behind me now, all waiting, all watching. "Sure," I said. "No problem." I pulled out and drove home with a full load of corn and rage building in my chest like steam pressure. Lily was waiting in the driveway. She'd beaten me home somehow. "I already called the county recorder's office," she said. "They're pulling all our documents. We can pick them up in an hour. Property deed, title history, lien search, everything. He's playing dirty." "Of course he is," Lily said. "He's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. What if he tries something worse?" "Then we'll handle it," she said. "Together, like we always do." We drove to the county recorder's office. Eleanor Simmons, who'd worked there since before I was born, had everything ready in a manila folder. "Heard there was some confusion," she said, sliding the documents across the counter. "Wanted to make sure you had what you needed. For the record, there's nothing filed against your property. Clean as a whistle." "Thanks, Eleanor. Your brother came by yesterday," she added, "asking questions about your land, how much it was worth, who held the title, whether there were any encumbrances. I told him it was public record and he could look it up himself." "What did he say?" He seemed surprised that Lily was the owner. Eleanor's eyes twinkled. Real surprised, like he'd been counting on something else. I bet he was. Back at the elevator, Mark reviewed the documents, made copies, and waved me forward. "You're good. Sorry about the confusion." "Not your fault." But as I unloaded, I noticed something. The other farmers were watching me differently now. Not with judgment exactly, but with interest. Like they'd recognized something. Charlie Duncan approached as I climbed back in my truck. "Your brother's making noise all over town," he said. "Telling anyone who'll listen that you've gone cold on family." I'm sure he is. Thing is, Charlie continued, most of us know better. We know you, we know Lily, and we know what it looks like when city people come around trying to take what isn't theirs. He spat tobacco juice into the dust. If you need anything, witnesses, documentation, muscle, you just say the word. Appreciate it, Charlie. Been farming next to your wife's family for 40 years, he said. They're good people, always have been. Your brother, though. He shook his head. He's got the smell of someone who thinks farmers are stupid. Bad mistake to make around here. He walked back to his truck, leaving me with something I hadn't expected. Allies. That night, Lily and I sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the fields gold and red. Harvest was going to be good this year, despite everything, maybe because of everything. He's going to escalate, I said. Yes. It'll get worse before it gets better. Probably. Are you scared? She thought about it. No, she said finally. I'm angry, and anger's more useful than fear. What do you want to do? She looked at me with those dark, calm eyes. I want to win, she said. Completely. I want him to understand exactly what he's lost and why he lost it. I want him to know that he brought this on himself. That's cold? He called me lowly, she said. He mocked my family, my work, my life. He tried to take my land, and now he's spreading lies about me in my own town. She paused. Yes, I'm cold, and I'm getting colder. I took her hand. Then let's get cold together. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who just declared war and meant to win it. The next day brought new problems. I was checking the irrigation system in the South 40 when I heard engines. 3 ATVs came roaring across my field, tearing up new growth, leaving deep ruts in the soft soil. They wore masks and moved fast, gone before I could get close enough to identify them. The damage was manageable, but expensive, and it sent a message. Your property isn't safe. I called Sheriff Morrison. He came out, looked at the tracks, took photos. You know who did this? I can guess. Guessing won't hold up in court. You got security cameras? No. Might want to invest in some. He looked uncomfortable. Grant, I've known you and Lily since you were kids. This situation with your brother, it's getting out of hand. Maybe you should think about talking it out. We tried talking. He wants my land. We're not selling. Not much room for compromise there. He says you owe him money. I paid him back 2 years ago. Got the paperwork to prove it. Morrison nodded slowly. Bradley's been in my office twice this week, filing complaints, asking about trespassing laws, talking about financial elder manipulation. That last one's interesting, considering you're not even 60 yet. He's building a case. He's building something, Morrison agreed. Just be careful. When family fights get this ugly, they tend to end badly. After he left, I walked the damaged field with Lily. The ruts were 6 inches deep in places, cutting through rows of corn that had been green and healthy that morning. Insurance will cover most of it, she said. That's not the point. I know. She knelt down, touching the torn soil. My grandfather planted this field. My father worked it. I grew up playing in these rows. She stood, brushing dirt from her knees. Nobody tears up my land and gets away with it. What do you want to do? Fight back, she said, but smart. Not like this. Not property damage and games. Real consequences. The kind that hurt. You have something in mind? Maybe. She looked at me. Victoria's fund, the one that collapsed. Have you thought about why it collapsed? Bad investments? Maybe, or maybe bad practices. I've been reading the news reports. There are words like irregularities and questionable transactions and pending investigation. Those aren't just bad luck words. Those are someone did something wrong words. You think Victoria broke the law? I think she took risks that crossed lines, Lily said carefully. And I think if someone looked carefully at what happened, they might find things worth investigating further. That's a big accusation. It's a question, not an accusation. But questions can be useful, especially if they're asked by the right people. I understood what she wasn't saying. You want to make this worse for them. They're trying to destroy us, Lily said. Our reputation, our business, our peace of mind. They send people to tear up our fields in the middle of the night. Why should we play nice? Because we're better than them. Being better doesn't mean being passive. She met my eyes. I don't want to hurt them out of spite. I want to protect what's mine. And the best defense is making sure they're too busy defending themselves to attack us. She had a point. A cold, calculating point that made me uncomfortable and proud in equal measure. What do you need from me? I asked. Information. Victoria was loud about her success when things were good. She loved bragging. Remember all those dinner parties at your parents' house where she'd go on about her deals? I bet she said things that seemed innocent at the time, but might look different now, I thought back. Victoria had loved being the expert, the one with inside knowledge. She talked about strategies, loopholes, special arrangements with certain clients. At the time, it had sounded like standard financial jargon. But now... She mentioned offshore accounts once, I said slowly. Something about restructuring to minimize tax exposure. And there was something about moving money between funds to cover margin calls. That's not legal, Lily said. Not if the funds are separate entities. That's commingling assets. How do you know that? I read. She smiled slightly. You think I just study soil all day? I've been educating myself on financial regulations since Victoria started her campaign against me. Know your enemy, right? You're terrifying, I said. Thank you. That night, Lily made phone calls. I didn't ask to who. I just listened to her end of the conversation, calm and professional. I'm concerned about some irregularities. Thought someone should know. Happy to provide details. Just want to make sure everything was handled properly. She was planting seeds. Questions that would grow into investigations. Doubts that would spread into audits. Nothing illegal, nothing actionable against us. Just a concerned citizen exercising her right to report potential problems. 2 days later, the first news story dropped. A financial blog picked up on the Victoria angle, noting some inconsistencies in how her fund had handled investor money. It was a small story, buried in the business section. But it was there. Bradley called that night. I let it go to voicemail. You're making this worse, his message said. Whatever you're doing, whatever Lily's doing, it needs to stop. You think you're hurting us? You're only hurting yourself. This town will turn on you. People will remember who helped family and who didn't. You'll regret this. I deleted the message and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. The escalation was getting real now, and I wondered how far it would go before someone backed down. Bradley had never been good at backing down. Neither had Lily. Something was going to break. Soon. The response came faster than expected. I was in town picking up parts when I saw the flyers. They were posted on telephone poles, bulletin boards, the community center, anywhere public. Each one had a photo of me and Lily above a headline that read, Know Your Neighbors. The text beneath was poisonous. It accused us of financial manipulation, of taking advantage of Bradley in his time of need, of using legal technicalities to avoid family responsibility. It suggested that Lily had somehow coerced me into refusing help. It ended with a question. What kind of people let families suffer? I tore down every flyer I could find, but there were dozens, maybe hundreds. At the hardware store, Martin Cross gave me a sympathetic look. Saw those things this morning, called the sheriff about them. Appreciate it. For what it's worth, most folks aren't buying it. We know you, and Lily's family has been here longer than half the buildings in town. He rang up my purchase. Your brother, though, he's got some people convinced. The ones who don't know you very well, who just moved here in the last few years. They're eating up his story. Let them. Problem is, Martin said carefully, some of those people sit on committees, planning board, zoning commission, business licensing. If they get it in their heads that you're not trustworthy, they can make life difficult, I finished. Yeah. Back home, I found Lily on her computer, her face tight with anger. Look at this. She turned the screen toward me. It was a social media post shared by dozens of people. Someone had created a whole page dedicated to our betrayal of family. There were photos of us at community events, screenshots of property records showing how much our land was worth, even old photos from high school showing Lily in 4-H, with captions suggesting she'd been scheming to marry up since she was a teenager. This is insane, I said. This is coordinated, Lily corrected. Look at the timing. All these posts went up within an hour of each other. The flyers, the social media, probably more we haven't seen yet. Victoria's doing this. She worked in marketing before finance. She knows how to run a campaign. We should sue. For what? None of it's technically libel. It's all phrased as questions or opinions. And if we sue, we look like the aggressors, like we're trying to silence legitimate concerns. She closed the laptop. They're smart. I'll give them that. So what do? We stay calm. We don't react. We let them exhaust themselves while we work on the real problem. Which is? Ending this permanently. She pulled out a folder I hadn't seen before. I've been making calls, asking questions, and I found something interesting. She spread documents across the table, financial reports, news articles, public filings. Victoria's fund collapse wasn't just bad investments, Lily explained. There were complaints filed with the SEC months before it went under. Investors who noticed their accounts didn't match what they'd been promised. The fund was using new money to pay returns to old investors while the actual investments were failing. That's a Ponzi scheme. You're sure? I'm sure there's enough evidence to trigger a real investigation. The initial complaints got buried in paperwork, but if someone pushed... She looked at me. I know a lawyer, friend of my father's, works in corporate fraud cases. He's willing to review what I've found and forward it to the right people. That'll destroy them. Yes, Lily said. It will. I looked at the documents. Evidence of fraud, deception, illegal activity. If this went forward, Victoria wouldn't just lose her career. She might face criminal charges. Bradley would be caught in the blast radius, guilty by association, if nothing else. This is different from defending ourselves, I said. They attacked first, Lily replied. They tore up our fields. They're destroying our reputation. They're trying to turn our community against us. Why should we hold back? Because once we do this, there's no taking it back. I don't want to take it back. Her voice was hard. I want them to understand that there are consequences, that they can't just steamroll people and walk away clean, that some of us fight back. I thought about my brother, the golden child who'd never heard the word no, the success story who'd failed so spectacularly he needed to steal from family to survive, the man who thought he could bully and shame his way back to prosperity. Do it, I said. Lily made the call that afternoon. I listened to her side of the conversation, calm and professional as she outlined what she'd found. When she hung up, she said, He'll forward it to the SEC tomorrow. With this much documentation, they'll have to open a formal investigation. How long until Bradley finds out? Couple weeks, maybe. These things move slow at first, then all at once. We didn't have to wait that long. 3 days later, I was working in the barn when I heard vehicles coming up the drive. Multiple vehicles, moving fast. I stepped outside to see Bradley's truck leading a convoy of 4 others. They stopped in a semicircle around the barn, blocking me in. Bradley got out first, followed by 8 other men. None of them were local. These were city guys, probably friends of his, here to intimidate. You made a mistake, Bradley said. His face was flushed, his breathing heavy. You made a big mistake. Get off my property. Your property? He laughed. You don't even own it. Your wife does. And pretty soon she won't own it either. Because I'm going to take it. One way or another, I'm taking what should have been mine in the first place. That's not how property law works. Property law? He spat the words. You think laws matter? You think some words on paper protect you? I've got lawyers filing injunctions, restraining orders, anything we can think of. We're going to tie you up in court for years. You'll spend every penny you have defending yourselves. And when you're broke, when you're desperate, we'll be there to buy your land for pennies on the dollar. You can't afford lawyers, I said. You're bankrupt. I've got investors, Bradley said. People who believe in me, who understand that sometimes you have to fight for what's yours. Nothing here is yours, he stepped closer. You sent information to the SEC. Don't deny it. I know it was you, or Lily. Same thing. You're trying to destroy Victoria to get her thrown in prison just because you're too selfish to help your own brother. Victoria destroyed herself, I said. She broke the law. That's not on me. Everything is on you. Bradley's voice rose to a shout. You could have stopped all of this. One simple sale. That's all it would have taken. But no, you had to be stubborn. You had to make it personal. Well, now it's personal for me too. The men behind him shifted forward. They weren't doing anything yet, just moving into position. But the threat was clear. You should leave, I said. Or what? You'll call the sheriff? He's 30 minutes away. A lot can happen in 30 minutes. That's when Lily's truck came around the barn. She'd been in the back field and must have seen the convoy arrive. She stopped behind me, got out, and walked to my side without hesitation. She was carrying her phone. The screen was lit, showing an active call. Sheriff Morrison, she said clearly. Can you hear what's happening here? Bradley's face went pale. Armed trespass, Lily continued. Multiple men. Verbal threats. Property damage to our gate. They drove right through it. Please send units immediately. Morrison's voice came through the speaker, loud enough for everyone to hear. Already on the way. Tell them if they're still there in 5 minutes, they're all getting arrested. Bradley's investors looked at each other nervously. This isn't over, Bradley said. Yes, Lily replied. It is? You just don't know it yet. The convoy left, tires spinning in the gravel. Lily and I stood together, watching them disappear. Did he really bust our gate? I asked. Yes, drove right through it like they owned the place. Sheriff Morrison arrived 10 minutes later with 2 deputies. We gave statements, showed him the damaged gate, provided the phone recording. Morrison looked tired. "I'm filing charges," he said. "Criminal trespass, property damage. Possibly assault, depending on how the prosecutor reads the threat. Your brother's looking at serious trouble, Grant." He brought it on himself. "Maybe so." Morrison sighed. "But this is getting out of hand. Someone's going to get hurt if it keeps going like this." "We're not the ones escalating," Lily said. "I know, but knowing who started it won't matter if it ends badly." He looked at both of us. "Whatever you're planning, whatever your end game is, make it happen fast, before this turns into something nobody can walk away from." After he left, Lily and I sat on the porch steps. "He's right," I said. "This is getting dangerous." "So we finish it," Lily said. "Fast and final." "How?" She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We let the law do what the law does, and we wait." The SEC investigation went public 2 weeks later. The news broke on a Thursday morning. Federal regulators had opened a formal inquiry into Victoria's former fund, citing multiple irregularities and potential securities fraud. The story ran on financial news sites, then got picked up by regional media. By afternoon, it was in the local paper. Victoria's name was everywhere, and none of it was good. I was at the feed store when I heard people talking about it. The conversation stopped when I walked in, then started up again more quietly. Everyone knew now. Everyone understood that the perfect couple with the perfect life had built it on fraud. Bradley's truck showed up at our farm that evening. Just him this time, no convoy, no backup. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. His shirt was wrinkled, his face unshaven, his eyes red. He got out slowly and stood by his truck, not approaching the house. I walked out to meet him. Lily stayed on the porch, watching. "You destroyed us," Bradley said. His voice was hoarse. "You and your wife. You destroyed everything." Victoria destroyed herself. We just made sure people found out. The SEC is talking about criminal charges. They're freezing assets, interviewing investors, going back years through records. Victoria could go to prison, Grant. Prison. Then she shouldn't have run a Ponzi scheme. It wasn't. She was just trying to manage cash flow, trying to keep things going until the investments paid off. "That's what a Ponzi scheme is," I said. "Using new money to pay old debts while lying about returns. That's textbook fraud." Bradley sagged against his truck. "What do you want from me? What do I have to do to make this stop?" "Nothing, because you can't stop it. The investigation is out of our hands. It's federal now. Whatever happens to Victoria, that's between her and the government. She'll blame me. She already does. And says I pushed her into risky investments, that I pressured her to show returns she couldn't deliver. Our marriage is over, our money's gone, our house is being seized, everything we built is just gone." He looked up at me. "Are you happy now?" "No," I said. "I'm not happy. I'm just done. Done. With you. With this. With pretending we're family when you've never treated me like anything but a disappointment." I took a breath. "You wanted my land. You thought you were entitled to it because you needed it, because you're the important one, because the rules don't apply to you. You were wrong. I'm your brother." "You were my brother," I corrected. "Now you're just someone I used to know, someone who tried to steal from me and failed." Bradley stood there for a long moment. Then he said very quietly, "I'm sorry." "For what? For needing help? For asking for it? Or for everything that came after when I said no?" "All of it. Any of it." His voice cracked. "I made mistakes. I know that. I was desperate and scared, and I handled it badly. But you're my brother. We're family. That has to mean something." "It meant everything," I said. "Until you made it mean nothing." He got back in his truck. Before he drove away, he rolled down the window. "Mom and Dad won't forgive you for this." "Probably not," I agreed. "But I'll live." I watched him drive away, back toward a life that was collapsing around him. I should have felt something. Triumph, guilt, satisfaction, regret. Something. Instead, I just felt tired. "You okay?" Lily asked, coming up beside me. "I don't know." He apologized. After everything else. After the threats and the lies and the property damage. After he tried to turn the town against us and nearly got violent in our own yard. Now he's sorry. Better late than never? "No," I said. "Sometimes late is the same as never. Sometimes you cross lines you can't uncross." We stood together in the evening light, watching the dust settle on the road. "What happens now?" Lily asked. "The investigation runs its course. Victoria probably faces charges. Bradley gets caught in the fallout. Their assets get seized and sold off. They end up broke and discredited. And us? We rebuild the gate. We replant the damaged field. We go back to our lives. Just like that? Just like that. But I was wrong. It wasn't just like that. The story kept spreading. News crews came to town asking questions. Reporters wanted interviews with the brother who'd turned in his own family. We refused to talk, but that didn't stop them from making it news anyway. Public opinion shifted. The flyers and social media posts that had accused us of being cruel suddenly looked different when people understood what Victoria had done. Sympathy for Bradley evaporated. People who'd believed his story felt manipulated. Tom Wilson stopped me at the co-op. Just want to say I'm sorry for doubting you, for thinking maybe your brother had a point. I should have known better. Don't worry about it. No, I mean it. Guy comes to town in a fancy car talking about how he's got it all figured out, looking down on the rest of us. Should have seen through that from the start. You and Lily, you're solid. Always have been. Similar conversations happened all week. Apologies, embarrassed explanations, renewed respect. The community was circling the wagons, and we were inside the circle now. But Bradley and Victoria were outside. Permanently. The SEC investigation moved fast once it got going. They found evidence of fraud going back years, falsified returns, misappropriated funds, lies to investors. Victoria hired expensive lawyers but couldn't stop what was coming. The indictment came down 6 weeks after the initial investigation opened. Securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy. 15 counts total. If convicted on all of them, Victoria was looking at decades in prison. Bradley wasn't charged. Apparently he'd been ignorant of the details, just a beneficiary of his wife's crimes. But ignorance didn't save his reputation. He was the husband of a fraudster, the face of the collapse fund that had hurt so many people. He'd bragged about it at dinner parties, acted like a financial genius by association. Now he was just another victim, except nobody felt sorry for him. My parents called once, Mom crying, Dad angry. They wanted to know why I'd done this to them, why I'd destroyed their son's life. I didn't destroy anything, I said. Victoria did that. I just made sure people knew about it. You could have talked to us, Mom said. We could have worked something out, as a family. We stopped being a family the night you told me I married down, I said. Everything after that was just pretending. Dad's voice was hard. You're nothing to us now. You get that, right? You and your wife? You're not our family anymore. Don't call, don't visit. Don't expect anything from us ever again. Okay, I said, and hung up. Lily found me sitting at the kitchen table an hour later, staring at nothing. Your parents? She asked. Disowned me, officially. How do you feel? I thought about it. Relieved, I said finally. Like I've been waiting for permission to stop trying, and now I have it. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were right all along. They never saw me as anything but Bradley's less successful brother. Better to have no family than a family that treats you like that. She sat down across from me. We're family, you and me, that's enough. Yeah, I said. It is. The weeks that followed brought a strange kind of peace. The harassment stopped. The rumors died down. People left us alone, which was all we'd ever wanted. Harvest finished strong. We brought in record yields despite the damaged section, which had actually come back healthier than before, like the trauma had made the soil more determined to produce. Victoria's lawyers negotiated a plea deal. She admitted to securities fraud and agreed to a 7-year prison sentence. The judge approved it without much comment. Bradley's house went to auction to pay back defrauded investors. Everything else got liquidated. The proceeds went into a restitution fund that wouldn't come close to covering what people had lost. Whole thing sold for $300,000, Jake Peterson told me at the co-op. Nice place, too. Someone got a deal. I didn't tell him who that someone was. Spring came with rain and renewal. The fields greened up fast, winter wheat pushing through the soil in neat rows. Lily spent hours consulting with neighboring farms, helping them plan rotations and manage nutrients. Her reputation had only grown stronger through everything that had happened. I was in town at the hardware store when I saw him. Bradley was at the checkout counter, buying a cheap tool set and work gloves. He looked different, thinner, older, wearing clothes that had seen better days. His truck was gone, replaced by a beat-up sedan. Our eyes met across the store. He went pale. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then he grabbed his purchases and headed for the door without paying, realized his mistake, came back, fumbled with cash, and finally escaped. Saw him around town a few times, Martin Cross said quietly. Working construction, I think. Day labor stuff. Where's he living? That studio apartment over the highway. Heard he's behind on rent. I should have felt something, but I just felt empty. 2 weeks later, someone called my name outside the feed store. Victoria's former lawyer. Mr. Crowley, it's about your brother. He's in trouble. Not my problem. He's 3 months behind on rent. He lost his construction job. He's facing eviction. He asked me to ask you, any way you could help? I stared at him. Tell him to get a second job. Tell him to ask the people whose money his wife stole. But don't tell him to come to me. Summer came. I was repairing fence line when I saw a figure walking across the field. Bradley. He'd walked 3 miles from town in the heat. Grant, he called out, I need to talk to you. You're trespassing. I know, I'm sorry, He stopped, breathing hard. I'm evicted. Everything I own fits in my car, and the car's about to be repossessed. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you, or is this what you wanted? I didn't want any of this. You forced my hand. I asked for help, and you destroyed my entire life in response. No, Victoria destroyed your life. You destroyed your own life when you tried to steal my land. So that's it? You're just going to watch me lose everything? What do you want from me, Bradley? Help. Any help? Why would I do that? Because I'm your brother. You stopped being my brother when you told me I married down. When you tried to take land that wasn't yours. Bradley's face crumpled. I was desperate. I made mistakes. I'm sorry. What else do you want me to say? Nothing. There's nothing you can say that would change anything. Please, I've got nothing left. Is that what you want? Your brother homeless? You still don't get it. It's about you learning that actions have consequences. That I've learned. Just give me a chance. No, because if I help you now, you won't have learned anything. You're condemning me to the street. I'm letting you face reality. He stood there swaying. I hate you. I know. You destroyed everything. Victoria took it. The law took it. Your choices took it. I just didn't stop it. Bradley turned and walked back across the field. I watched until he was out of sight, then went back to work. Fall came with cooler air and changing leaves. News broke about additional charges against Victoria. Investigators discovered offshore accounts never disclosed. The estimated amount hidden exceeded $2 million. Bradley didn't know about that, Lily said. No, she was stealing from everyone, including him. I heard he'd moved into a homeless shelter, that he was working at a warehouse, that he'd lost 40 pounds. One evening in late October, I was closing the barn when a car came up the drive. Mom. She looked older, smaller. She stood by her car uncertain. Grant, she said, can we talk? About what? Everything. Your brother, the family. 5 minutes, I said. We sat on the porch steps. Bradley's in bad shape, she began. I heard. Your father and I made mistakes. We took his side without listening. When everything came out, she trailed off. What do you want? I want to apologize. To you and Lily. Okay. Is that all? An apology doesn't undo years of being treated like the disappointment. I know we can't undo that, but maybe we could start over. What does Dad think? Your father is stubborn. He's still angry you didn't help Bradley. Of course, Mom stood. I should go. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk, I'll think about it, she nodded, before leaving. Lily was right for you. You're lucky to have her. I know, Lily came down. What did she want? To apologize, to see if we could start over. Will you? Maybe, someday. A week later, I was at the county recorder's office and saw an auction notice, Bradley's former house. I drove past. Sold sign in the yard. Movers unloading. I slowed down. The invoice said, Crowley. I pulled over. Lily came out directing movers. She saw me, smiled, walked over. Surprise. You bought Bradley's house? We did. Auction. Dirt cheap. Nobody wanted it. What for? Rent it, probably. Or give you a place to invite your mother. Neutral ground. You bought it for that? I bought good property at a great price. What about Bradley? I don't care what he thinks. Movers finished. Lily locked up, climbed in my truck. You know what the best part is? We won. Completely. Kept our land, protected our reputation, exposed them. And now we own their house. That night, I sat with Lily on our porch, looking at our fields. Bradley had mocked Lily for having dirt under her nails. Now his wife was in prison, his money gone, his house ours. The dirt under Lily's nails had built something real. The man in the expensive suit had lost everything. I was checking the south field 2 days later when I saw Bradley one last time. He was walking along the road that bordered our property. He stopped when he saw me. We stood there, 50 yards apart, separated by the fence line. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then I did something I hadn't planned. I walked to the fence, pulled an envelope from my pocket, the deed transfer for his old house, and held it up so he could see it. His face went white as he read the address. "You," he whispered. "You bought it." I didn't answer. I just stood there holding the deed to the house he'd lost, the symbol of everything he'd been and destroyed. "You mock the dirt under her nails," I called across the field. "Now you crawl on it." Bradley's knees buckled. He grabbed the fence post, his face twisted in anguish and rage and broken understanding. I turned and walked back toward my farmhouse, toward Lily waiting on the porch, toward the land that had always been ours, toward the life we'd protected and defended and kept. Behind me, I heard a sound that might have been a sob or a scream. I didn't look back.